Anyways, we figured it out, and you went on your merry way. And many, many years later, you're here on the stage with us, so it's a great honor for me.
Is this now time to open it?
It's a time to open it up. You can say something about the film if you'd like, and then we're out here in the audience.
I think it needs a little more cutting.
Yeah, and I told them that, but they didn't listen to me.
Why not? They're filmmakers. But there was a lot of emotional stroking in there that I enjoyed a great deal. And a lot of truth that hasn't emerged anywhere else. But the first time I saw it, this is the second time, I left feeling more worthwhile than I had when I came in. So I guess it's not all bad. I thank the filmmakers very much for making me look so good, or bad. I realize above all, it's been a wonderfully exciting trip. My existence in film, existence in acting, I should say. I also realize with quite a conscience that I often kind of electronic marvel is this. I also realized this is kind of a lame admission. I always thought of myself as an angel of a person, a pure, driven creature, untainted, unmarked, honest as the day is long. And in the past year, I've come to perceive myself as I guess it's clean as the driven over snow. And I think that maybe if I could make my exit with that costume on, I'll be closer to the truth than I ever have been before. Any questions? I can't see you, so
We'll
blurt them out.
Questions or comments? Someone could be the first. Okay.
Yes, down here, you.
I have a very simple question.
What is your simple question? You simple
I've always
creature?
noticed in your Mary Tyler Moore.
Hold on.
Okay.
Here.
Here we go. No, I'll bring it to you, and then you have the one afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have a mic.
I'm a big fan, by the way, and I watch Mary Tyler Moore, and she's always in my queue for programs I'm going to play again and again in my recorded list.
What's your question?
Here it is.
You hotsy-totsy?
I know, here it is. Because I studied your office and I...
What's going on over there? What are you talking about? Go ahead.
In your office, you have a picture of you in your football uniform. How did that happen? Whose idea?
High school.
But whose idea was that?
Oh, Jim Brooks is a crazy son of a bitch. And when they were casting and they wanted to add paraphernalia to populate my office, they said, do you have this, do you have that? And when I suppose I profited forward the football picture, which was the only bit of fame I'd had up until that time, they eagerly seized on it. There's your answer.
All right.
We have one question here.
Where? Where are you?
I'm over here, in this direction.
Many years ago in Vancouver, you did a show called Hey, I'm Alive, which was with Sally Struthers.
Yeah.
And I was in that cast. I was playing a rough Alaskan pool girl, very, typecasting. But after that, you came up to Vancouver and you did Man Trap, Alan Hamill's Man Trap. And you remember...
Did what?
Man Trap. Do you remember Man Trap, Alan Hamill?
No.
Where it was a silly show anyway. But you were very, very kind to me. I was starting out, and I want to thank you for that. After that, I went on to work with Paul Sills, and I knew Viola Spolin.
What's your name?
Angela. Angela Slater. I was nobody, but you were kind to me.
You're somebody now, honey.
Well, thank you, honey. And I want to say I was in LA when you and Charlton Heston were going at each other, and I was very much on your side. I was at the Screen Actors Guild, so thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, thank you. Nice to have you.
Any other questions over here? Are there?
Do we need that light on? That blinding light?
Yeah, it's right in.
Forgot it.
Mr. Asner, the cast of the Mary Tyler Moore Show is one of my favorite casts of all time. Can you talk about some of the cast members? Particularly, one of my favorite actresses was Georgia Engel. I just loved her. Could you talk about some of those people and how that affected your life?
Well, it affected my life in terms of the total happiness it gave me. We did that show for 7 years. It put me on the map. And I loved everybody in it, whether I hated them or not. And some of the juiciest broads in the business were on that show. Mary and Cloris. And I must tell you a story about Cloris and me. I was always hot for Cloris. And the first years of the show, we'd find ourselves parked together or someplace together, and we liked to kiss each other. I was married and she was married, but it didn't matter. I cheated on my wife that way. I hope she'll forgive me. But it won't matter if she does. And finally, it got to the point where we felt we had to have each other. And Cloris, who's a stickler against smoking and against weight, said, okay, you lose 30 pounds and you can have me. I said, well, that's quite a goal. Okay. So I diligently worked at it, and I would say that fear and matrimony had me lose 29. I just couldn't make that other pound. I think both of us were relieved.
Right, to your left. To your left.
Over here?
No, to your left.
Oh,
Good evening. I'm on the other side, but that's okay. My husband and
I
I,
hope you'll come back to our side.
well, 1 pound away. My husband and I were and are huge fans of the Lou Grant series, and I was wondering if you had been able to end that series on your timeline as you had hoped. What did you envision for the ending? What were you hoping for?
The ending of what?
Of the Lou Grant series, if you had been able to end it on your timetable.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I've never thought about that. I just thought about cutting wide swaths complaining about the cancellation of the show and trying to embarrass the owner of the show, whatever his name was. It showed him on the film. For his, he had canceled the Smothers Brothers too. So I thought that somebody should find a way to punish him. But at the same time, it deals with cancellations of shows and what makes people popular. I think the most definitive statement came from my agent, who had done a great deal of representation for blacklisted actors. And he said he thought I was finished in the business with his experience with blacklisted actors. But he said the fact that every time a charge was leveled at me, that I rose up and demanded an audience, however I got it, and answered back the charge against me. And he thinks that whatever salvation was there was achieved by my responding to the attacks. So that was something to be learned. And as I said in the film, you don't go run and hide and bury your ass in cement someplace. You maintain a posture of who you are, or find some way of doing that. You'll backtrack, certainly. Life preservation demands that of you, so that you're not a fool. But sometimes when the ideals are too great, you reach a point where you can't backtrack. And you've got to stand up, and hopefully you do. In terms of where, I think anything's possible. I think it was possible to envision a future perhaps eventually, even though their date failed with Mary. Find her again in the new life, or find someone from the old show. Cloris of Georgia was an interesting animal. She came from a Christian Science family, and I don't know what it was that gave her speech impediment, whatever it was. It's not really an impediment, but it existed. It was there. And her father was an admiral for the Coast Guard, as was his twin brother, who was an admiral in the Navy. And I was just amazed at the role she would take, being a Christian Scientist and being the gawky creature she appeared to be. She was always, in fact, when we were in the clutch at the end of the Mary Tyler Moore show, and Jim Brooks said to the group in the clutch, now, if we could only figure out a funny way to get out of this, or to move on without breaking up the clutch. And Georgia was there. She said, well, there's Kleenex on the desk. We could all stumble over there and get Kleenex. And it was a great idea. It got laughs. And then we eventually dissipated. So she was always on top of things. She was hip to the present. I'll put it that way. Cloris was a gas bag and funny as hell. And when I was doing preparatory ads for the show with Mary, and I had hoped to learn all of the content. It was too much for me. So Mary did most of the talking on the commercials for the coming show. I was then sent to Atlanta to make another half of the country, the commercials for the show. And immediately, Cloris was there. I was doing with Cloris. And she said, oh, we don't want to do it. We don't want to do it. We'll just improvise. And it saved my ass. We got out there and I improvised with Cloris and we made good commercials. So there's Cloris. Valerie was a precious creature who acted like she was the only one who knew what unions were supposed to be. And she came in because she had been a gypsy on Broadway. So she learned through experience and became humble through experience. Ted, what can you say about Ted? He's a monster. We would go after the show every Friday night. Gavin with his wife, Ted with his, and me with mine, and we'd go have dinner and booze the hell out of it. We had a great time. It was a great time to be together. 7 years of luxury living, you can call it. And Mary was the queen. She was the queen, and Mary was a little lapdog. But I loved them all. And they were all, at that point, greatly loving, supporting, and giving, very giving. It was 7 very happy years of my life.
Can you tell us any stories about Betty White?
Betty White, what does she do? Betty White, she aced that character through and through. She knew it from the word go. And she was the greatest trooper I have ever seen. There was a show where she was whipping Murray into being her assistant. And it finally culminated, and he would take the jibes and the kidding from Ted and me and whoever else, because she was making such a fool of him, Murray. Well, finally she had him in a bridesmaid's outfit while she was tucking and pinning and accustoming to his body. And our jibes and jokes finally got to him, so that while she was doing this, he said something or she said something, and it tipped him over the edge, so that he picked her up in her bridesmaid's outfit, which was all according to the producer-writers, and slammed her down on the clothes dummy sitting on stage. I could hear her tailbone crack as it hit the board, and I knew it had to hurt her. It didn't break it, but it hurt her. And she then, in her great flustering, looked around, and the dummy and she, or the cake was nearby, I guess. She then turned, without a moment's pause, and took a swipe of the cake, tasted it, said, I think it needs a little vanilla. And that's how she came by that very awkward moment. And it was beautiful. She is a trooper par excellence.
Any other questions?
Mr. Asner, looking at this film and seeing people in there like Michael Shannon and Viggo Mortensen, and I'm just curious about your impressions of the current Hollywood milieu, working with them. Here you have a current documentary. But what are your perceptions and perspectives of what's happening in the field now? Is it more accepting?
I don't think I think we're lacking in moral leaders right now.
Yeah.
I think there's chaos in the industry. There's chaos in the unions. And not that I'm going to run for office, but drive that out of your mind. And I mean, well, there's chaos in the country, let's face it. I think we are in the most chaotic position we've ever been in our history, practically. And I don't know how we get out of it, unless a creature arises that the press believes in, and they can't put anything on him or her, and we have a candidate who will rise to the occasion and lead us to the Holy Land. We need that person desperately. And I hope it arrives. John, you've got questions back here.
Hi, Ed. Personally, I would have to say my favorite role from your entire filmography would have to be Maurice from the X-Files. Do you have any interesting stories to share while working on the set of that show?
What did I do?
You played Maurice. He was a ghost with his wife in a haunted house. I tried to get
that one.
Yeah.
That one. Oh yeah, I love that. That put me with Lily Tomlin, and she was great in it. And photographically, it was wonderful how they were able to shoot me with a hole through my head. That was fun. There was another story that I should tell. We were working very late. I think we were filming it at 20th Century Fox. I'm not sure. And they were filming a single scene with Lily on the next stage, and I lay down on a bed in the stage, adjoining stage that I was in, waiting until they needed me. So while they're filming Lily in the other set, you kept hearing this noise, and it kept disrupting the scene. They didn't know what it was. They kept looking around and looking around, looking around. Finally, they came onto the other stage, and they realized what it was. It was me snoring. So I try to impede her however and wherever I can. We finally got the scene. It must have finished about 2 or 3 in the morning. But it was a charming show. Thank you.
Any other questions out here?
Anybody else?
John?
There's one right here.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sarah, and my question for you is, could you highlight your spiritual journey in this life?
Very rocky. Now, I've been married twice. My first marriage was because I cheated on my wife. And I will never forget her or forgive her for leaving me. She is a wonderful lady. She's in bad shape right now. But she gave me 3 wonderful kids. And I'm proud of my kids. And I would do anything to be with her now. I'm not sure I love her now, but I owe her big time. And I would give the rest of my life to be with her. I don't want to sound sickly altruistic by saying this. She's worth it. But I don't think she wants me. And I would do anything to try to kill the pain that she must be going through. Because it has nothing to do with me, but I'd like to be of help. At the same time, it would be nice to be together again. And this is not to say that I'm not aware of her faults, of her shut-offedness, of her lack of free expression. And at the same time, I'm impressed by the strength and the depth of her conviction. The strength is most impressive. I was going into this confessional earlier on by saying that I'm not the sweetest fellow in the world. I am not a saint, but I think when I get thrashed around enough, I end up grudgingly saying, that's the right thing to do. And I would hope that with all my thrashing around, I end up finally saying that's the thing to do. That's the position to be in. I would hope that I never weaken from that stance if I can achieve it. Being right is better than being wrong. And I hope I'm rarely wrong. And blah, 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 blah. Yeah. All right.
Hi, Ed. Right down the center. Right down the center, the guy with the hat.
That's where we aim to be.
There we go, right there with the hat. It's a great pleasure to both see your story and some of the earlier stuff that I didn't really know about you, and to have you here. It's a great honor. So thank you for being here. Many people who have popular careers in television are known for one line but you've had so many popular characters, you're not known for one line. What I was curious about is, what do people come up to you commonly and ask you to say, and what is your favorite line to say back to them?
Well, I've developed it in recent years. Most people come and say that, come up and say that something about spunk. And of late, of the past year or two, I've developed a response as I hate that line. It's totally incorrect. And in actuality, I love spunk. So, stick that in your hat.
Any other questions?
And in this film, what were some of the moments that you really enjoyed? Some surprises, something that happened that delighted you in the making of this film?
What delighted me in the making of this film?
Yes.
The encomiums played to me by prestigious people. That delighted me and surprised the hell out of me.
All right.
I think you're wrong, of course.
Well, we know that Oliver Stone has been here a couple of times, and he's always spoken very highly of you. And so we're glad that you're now part of our Amdocs alumni, if we may say that, Mr. Asner. It was such a pleasure and joy to have you here. We hope you come back again.
Thank you.
Bravo.